Welcome here to the Kingsmen Corner. I'm Griffin Leonard here with Coach Joe Hudak. We'll be joined by assistant pitching coach and catching coach Nick Osborne later on in the show. We're back after a couple weeks off. The academy season has transitioned over into the summer collegiate ball season, and vibes are high, I think, around Kingsman country. Wouldn't you say, Coach?
Yeah, I think so too. It's this is the first year, obviously, that we've had something year round, right? I mean, the last 10 years we've just had the summer college team, but now we have the academy, and it's a year round deal now. The academy boys reported on August, I think, 16th this year, went home on May 16th. Summer guys reported on May 27th, so I had 10 days off to recoup and recover. And the summer team will go home. I think we get back from the Dominican on the 19th, so they'll go home on July 20th, and then the Academy boys will come back on August 15th. So, yeah, pretty much a year-round deal now, but it's really good.
Well, good to hear. Before we completely close the book on the first year of the academy, just wondering now that you've had a couple of weeks to reflect on that first season as a whole, what are your thoughts on the KBA's first year?
Exceeded expectations just about every area. I mean, when you start something new like this, you don't really know what's going to happen. Bringing 30 high school kids from 10 different states and Canada and the Dominican Republic and bringing them all together. And, these are high school kids that are out on their own probably for the first time. And so, you don't know what to expect. But boy, we had an amazing group of young men. We had no issues with them from a conduct standpoint, no issues from a roommate standpoint. I mean, literally almost nothing, which is unheard of. And I think that speaks to, Preston's recruiting efforts and our recruiting efforts to recruit good young men, not just good players, but also good young men. And on the field, man, 45-21, number 2 seed in the prospect division. I just don't think it could have gone any better. Spiritually, it was great. Lincoln Lawing did a fantastic job for us, pouring into our guys, getting to know them, being there for them. So that was great. And from a media relations standpoint, you did a phenomenal job. Even our parents, raved about you, being able to watch, we got kids from Oklahoma and Canada and far away, and being able to watch every game if they were able to, thanks to you and your, the golden tones of Griffin Leonard
I don't know
broadcast.
if I'd call it that, but
Yeah, well, you do a great job, man. So again, I maybe a long-winded answer, but I think it exceeded every expectation that I had.
yeah, so a really successful first year of the KBA. We're of course looking to resuming, or it looks, if I can speak here, the golden tones aren't working today.
Oh,
Uh,
well,
the We're certainly looking forward to August and season
yeah.
number two, but in the meantime, we get to go back to what Kingsman baseball originally was in the college summer team. How excited are you to be able to resume that after 10 to I think 12 years now
Yeah.
of Kingsman baseball existing in that way? Now we get to step back into that realm.
Yeah, I mean, I love the summers. The summer college team has always been something I've loved doing. It's not quite as intense, as when I was coaching at Winthrop or even with the academy. It's just been an amazing, amazing time. I started it way back in 2015 when I was still working for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes as the area director, and I took our first college team back in 2015, did it again in 2016. Under the umbrella of FCA. And then, just felt the Lord leading me. It's time to go start your own ministry, And so I left FCA and started Kingsman Baseball. We've had that for 10 more years. So this will be the 12th team that we've taken. And so just so excited about it. We've got a great group of guys, but I love the summer. I love the summer team. It's just a really neat experience.
In the years past, you have obviously been, up to some various things besides coaching, but I would
Sure.
assume that your schedule hasn't been nearly as hectic as it was this fall and this last spring. How did the recruiting process look for this summer's team, and how did that differ from years past?
Well, the recruiting for this summer's team was almost non-existent, to be honest with you. You spend, whenever we didn't have the academy team, I could spend a decent amount of time contacting coaches and trying to get guys, but fortunately for us this year, and I think it's going to be this way in the future, the academy is going to always supplement our summer college team. We're always going to have players who this was their last year of high school, right? And they're getting ready to go to college and they don't really have any place to play, right? Because there aren't any travel ball teams for kids that have already graduated from high school. So I think that will always supplement it. But this year's team, I mean, I was looking at it before we get on because I thought we might be talking about it because first of all, we've got 7 returning players, right, from previous summer league teams. So that's a basis for our team. But then we also have 6 guys from the academy, that are playing with us. And then we really only have at this point 2 new players, that haven't played for me either with the summer team or with the academies. It actually is kind of refreshing. We didn't have to have that first long practice where I'm talking about team defense and gap defense and communications and cutoff and relays. Most of our guys already knew all of that, so that was kind of refreshing. But right now we have a small roster, only 15 guys right now. And we do have, I think, hopefully 3 or 4 more guys that are going to be joining us at some point. But yeah, it was I didn't spend much time putting this roster together, but man, it's a pretty good club, I can tell you that.
Only 2 new players for this season, like you mentioned, and both of them have, even if they haven't played, they have some connection to Kingsmen, with Riley Darby being a teammate of Brady Yarborough's at Sumter, and Gino Lazzari having Ben France over at Malone.
Yeah.
I guess in the 2 weeks that we've been playing, how have you seen this team kind of mesh together? Given that they already know each other to a certain extent, have you seen that a little quicker than maybe a normal team would?
Absolutely, absolutely. I have seen that. I think it starts. The returning guys. Most of them played last year, and as you well know, you were on that. You were with us last summer. That was an exceptional group of young men, right? Just some really solid guys spiritually. A lot of them more spiritually mature than maybe some others, and so to have those guys come back, and then the 6 guys from the academy. They obviously heard the gospel and heard about Christ throughout the whole year from Lincoln and myself in our chapels. And so, it's really, really meshed, I think, easily with these guys to where, man, they're already very close. Crazy playing Mafia on the bus already and having a good time and all of those things. So yeah, this club, even though it's small, again, it's pretty talented. The only thing, we're probably a little thin on the mound right now, right? Still trying to find a couple of guys that could help us throughout the rest of the year until we get to the Dominican. We don't need that many arms in the Dominican. We only play 4 games in 10 days. So, but yeah, great group of guys, meshed really well. Really pleased with it.
Yeah, vibes in the dugout seem to be high, and the
Yeah.
little things like you're talking about, moth on the bus, even if maybe that means you get a little less sleep on the road.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
As we look toward the first 2 weeks of how the games have gone here, obviously
Mhm.
look at the record. I know you're going to be happy with that. 4-0, hard to ask for too much more. What have
Yeah.
you seen on the field so far?
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. Preston and I, when we were talking in Oz, we were talking about this team before we started, and we felt we were going to be pretty good offensively. We have some really good, solid college players, and then we had 3 or 4 guys from our academy that were really good offensive players as well. And so we thought we had a chance to be pretty good offensively, and certainly that's proven to be the case. I think. The question mark was going to be the pitching, right? Just not necessarily the quality of it, but the quantity of it, right? But we've really played really well. I mean, the first 2 games, we won, I think, 10-0 and 14-4, right? And amazingly, I mean, just the most amazing stat for those first 2 games is our pitchers had 20 strikeouts and 1 walk. I mean, that's unheard of, man. I mean, last year when you look at the first 2 games last year, I don't think it was totally reversed, but it was well on the other side. I can tell you that, right? And so, and then since then, we pitched, Angel Rari came back last Sunday and pitched for us on Tuesday and threw 5 good innings for us, and, we've pitched well. The question just is going to be whether we're going to have enough arms to complete the schedule. But, I think right now we're okay, and we're looking to find a couple more guys. So, yeah, 4-0, Griff. I don't know. We've outscored our opponents. I don't know what it is, 45-7 or something like that. I don't know. But
a good number, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So, yeah, very pleased with how it's gone.
You kind of referred to it earlier when we were talking about the roster, but I think it's really interesting looking at this year's team, seeing guys like Alan Benhart that have graduated college, D1 player. Then you have a guy, for example, Caden McNeil, who's coming out of the academy, still has another year within the academy. How have you seen the team mesh together from a perspective of you've got guys that are maybe 5 or 6 years age difference? One has played multiple years of Division I baseball, and one certainly hopes to, but isn't even out of high school yet.
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of what the unique thing is about summer ball. It has been all the time, and especially since we went and became an independent, where when you're an independent, there really isn't any restrictions on you, right? So you can have a guy like Alan. I think Alan's going to be 24 this week, I think. And then you got Caden, who is like 17, I think, or maybe he may be 18, right? But, they both, all of our guys have the same goal and the same love, and that's baseball. All right. They love being on the field. And so, I think, if you would look at us from the outside and team, you would never know that, these guys didn't know each other, 10 days ago, right? Didn't know each other. And now they're very close. They support each other. They pull for each other. Summer ball is really cool like that, especially the way we do it. I think when all the guys live together, I think when you have host families, right? You have host families and guys are going home to a different place every night. Well, now they're coming home, most of them. I think all but 3 are coming home to our apartments that we have. And that's the beauty of the apartments and the academy is, we just have year-round housing now. The academy guys leave, summer guys come in. Summer guys leave, academy guys come in. And so it's just really cool to happen like that. I think that really is beneficial for our guys really becoming really close as a club.
Another interesting thing about this team this year is because of how many returners you have, the spiritual growth is maybe on day one of this season, we're at maybe a starting point that's further along than in the past. Obviously, you and Lincoln and the rest of the staff work really hard to instill good spiritual values in these guys. I know you said that you want to teach these guys what it means to be a Christian, right? When you have guys under your wing for a year, 2 years, 3 years, you bring a bunch of them back for this summer. How do maybe those goals change since you've given that initial message? Where does it go from here?
Yeah, I think Lincoln and I have talked about that. We were kind of joking. We were saying, "Hey, we've given all our talks, man. We've given these guys have heard everything that we've had to say. So we got to start coming up with something new, right?" But no, I think that's the cool thing when you get a group of guys maybe that have been through, what we do spiritually, and they've already grown a lot spiritually. Well, hey, now we want to look at maybe even taking them to the next level, right? Not just learning about Christ and learning what it means to be a Christian, not just maybe making a decision for Christ, but now once you've made that decision, how can you mature and grow and actually be a leader spiritually, maybe on your team back at school and so on. So that's something I think we're really going to work on this year. And the other thing that's really cool, and you mentioned Alan Benhart, playing at Winthrop. Alan, the Lord has called Alan into full-time ministry, which is really, really cool. When one of the kids that you've spent time with and poured into feels that the Lord is leading him into full-time Christian service. I mean, he's going to be, I think he has a couple of different churches in Rock Hill he's looking at possibly serving with, as well as BCM on Winthrop's campus, but when I talked to Alan, about coming and playing for us, I said, "Hey, this is a great opportunity for you to really actually start your ministry." I mean, he's a great player. So he's probably our best hitter, right? So, he has earned respect right off the bat, right? And now that gives him a good platform for him to share his faith and start his ministry. And And the thing that Lincoln and I talked about, we're really excited about is actually having Alan involved with our ministry, with the actual spiritual ministry that we have, having him involved with some, sharing some chapels and sharing his testimony. And especially when we get to the Dominican, have him probably leading the players only Bible studies in the morning rather than Lincoln. Right. So all of that stuff, I think, it is a different dynamic. You're absolutely right about that. Now, we still have some guys that, both of our two new guys are fairly sound spiritually, right, coming in. So I do think this is a more mature group that we can hopefully pour into and help them grow.
Yeah, and we're certainly looking forward to seeing how that comes to fruition over the course of the season. Back to the field here, 4-0, like we said. Upcoming week is a busy one. Three
Yeah.
games, all at home, sort of. One of them's at Gardner Webb, but I guess that's our home as well.
Mm-hmm.
What do you expect in that game? I know you talked about the pitching, but how do you see that week playing out in terms of just the management from your side of things?
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult. I don't know. I'm actually thinking there are four.
Are
Do,
there?
do we have? I think we go to Lexington on Saturday, don't we? I think we have four. I think we
Okay.
play Tuesday. We're scheduled for Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. If you can look that up while I'm talking here,
I'll
but
look it up right now.
I think that's it. So 4 games is going to be really difficult for us to play, even if they're all 7 inning games. It's going to make it a little difficult. So because we're thin on pitching, right? So as I mentioned, still trying to get a couple of new arms to help us, even just this week if we can, so we can do that. But it may end up being, quite frankly, if we can't find some additional arms, we may end up needing to cancel one of those games. I'm just not gonna overuse our pitchers. Not gonna put somebody out there, that hasn't pitched. So we'll kind of play that by ear. But it is going to be a very busy week for us. And but hey, that's what we're here for, right? We're here to play ball, man, and excited about that. Did you find
Yep.
out?
Yes, I did. You're indeed right. 4 games. It looks like we've got Tuesday against the Clutch, Wednesday against Catawba Valley Stars, Friday again against the Clutch at York, and then Glowfish, as you mentioned, on Saturday. So yeah,
Yeah,
busy.
busy week. But hopefully we can get all 4 games, and we'll see. I'm probably gonna have to make a decision on that by tomorrow. If we might need to cancel one of those. We're still waiting to hear back from a couple of guys. So, yep.
All right, sounds good. And then as we go through this summer season, I know you mentioned getting guys back, hopefully, but just as far as development goes, you've talked in the past about, these aren't our guys, so you don't necessarily, or at least not the academy, or besides the academy guys, but you mentioned they're not our guys, so the way that you coach and develop is a little bit different. But what do
Yeah.
you want to see in terms of development this summer?
Yeah, I think that way. I think if we got kids that are still in college, I don't try to make a lot of changes or things, with them. I think that they aren't my guys. Now, the guys that are our academy guys, well, they are my guys, right? So I feel comfortable making changes there, But yeah, so we just try to teach the game in general, right? But if a kid, comes and says, "Hey, what do you think about this or that?" Or, I'm a pitching guy, so maybe work with a kid on a type of pitch or something like that. Not going to make any wholesale mechanical changes or anything like that. But, we can tweak some pitches, and pitching philosophies big time for me. Right. And so, we'll do some of that stuff. But, still want to teach the game. Right. I mean, I'm not a guy. I've never been with this summer college team. I've never been a guy. Let's just roll out the balls. Everybody plays. And if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. Well, you know me well enough to know me, Griff. That is not me. Right. Every game, it's like life and death for me. I mean, just the way I'm wired, right? It doesn't matter whether, we're playing. I was playing in the Big South in a championship game of a regional, right? Or when we're playing North Carolina, or we're out playing Arizona State or playing Florida State. It doesn't matter whether it's that game or we're here, on Tuesday. I guess we're playing the Augusta Clutch, right? It's still life and death for me, man. It's just the way
Go
I'm wired.
baseball.
Right. So, we're going to play to win for sure. And we're going to teach the game. I enjoy teaching the game. I want my guys, when they leave, to have a better understanding of how to play the game than when they came. So, yeah. And I think, I think I'm going to be that way till the Lord takes me home. I mean, that's just who I am,
Yeah. Well, good luck this season, Coach. We'll have to chat a couple more times on here, of course, and hopefully the wins keep rolling in. That'll make us both
Absolutely.
happy.
Absolutely. That's the plan, Griff. That's the plan. Appreciate you doing this. Enjoy having you with us, man.
Of course. Well, we'll step aside, be right back here. We'll talk to assistant pitching coach and catching coach Nick Osborne when we get back here on the Kingsman Corner. Before we continue with the show, I want to give a big shout out to 704 Sports Academy. 704 Sports Academy is a 10,000 square foot fully turf sports facility in Gastonia, North Carolina. The facility features 7 full-length retractable batting cages, 2 pitching mounds, and weight room training equipment. Coach Weston Loyne and his staff are committed to the total development of baseball and softball players of all ages in the greater Gaston area, striving to create an enjoyable environment while challenging young athletes both physically and mentally, giving them the tools they need to compete. 704 Sports Academy is a proud partner of the Kingsmen Baseball Academy. Back to the Kingsmen Corner. Welcome back here to the Kingsman Corner, joined by assistant pitching coach and catching coach Nick Osborne. Coach Oz, welcome back to the show. Hopefully, you had a nice little mini off season between the academy and the summer team, and I know you're back at it, ready to roll.
Oh yeah, I had a great time. What, it was a week off, week and a half off in between that. Went back home up to PA for a little bit, spent some time with my family. But yeah, I actually, it's shocking to say, I kind of missed it while we were gone.
Yeah,
Yeah, I missed maybe not quite much the boys with 5 months with them, but definitely missed the baseball aspect of it.
of course. Well,
No,
and I think
I always miss those boys. I always miss those boys.
well, and anytime you get something that ingrained into your routine, when
Yeah,
it goes away for a little bit, you start to miss what you had.
yeah. I was kind of sitting at home wondering what to do.
Yeah, I was the same way. I'm glad we're back for the summer season. We've been at it now 2 weeks.
hmm
Just wanted to ask you about the academy season as a whole now that it has concluded. Just your thoughts on that first year experience with a great group.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I think it went beyond our expectations. I think it went better than any of us ever could have imagined. It was a great year with a great group of guys. We won a lot of baseball. We played a lot of good baseball. I think for a first year academy, especially, I think we greatly proved ourselves, to everybody that we had to, um, and that we're the real deal, and we'll be even better next year.
Is there maybe one or two areas that you think maybe saw the biggest improvement, maybe on the field, maybe off the field, from the guys?
Yeah, I think honestly, the biggest improvement that we had throughout the whole team was baseball IQ. I think for our fielders, it was learning how to actually move. They based on different plays and different situations and where's the balls hit. I think guys at the plate actually learned an approach instead of just going up there and hack it away. I think pitchers actually learned to go out there and pitch and sequence pitches and tunnel pitches instead of just going out there and throwing the baseball. So I think the biggest aspect just all around was the baseball IQ part of it. Because listen, when those guys come in, those guys are all fantastic. I mean, they can play the game up and down the lineup. But the thing with them is they all come in, but they don't know the game necessarily as well. And that's kind of where our job is, to come in and really just teach them. Okay, here's, you got all the physical tools of the game, but let's get a lot of the mental tools down, and a lot of actually how to play the game and how to pitch and how to hit and have an approach, what to do in different situations.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's something that Coach Hudak just earlier in our show here was talking to me about as well.
Yeah.
Not just with the academy guys, but the college guys as
Yeah.
well. Teaching them how to play the game better, and especially for the college guys, as he was talking to me earlier, that you're not developing the form of the
hmm
guys necessarily as much because they're not your guys.
Yeah.
Baseball IQ is something that you can teach anybody and everybody. So I think that's interesting that you bring that up as well. Are there any ways that maybe over the course of the time you've been with the Kingsmen, both as a player or as a coach, that you've seen your own baseball IQ improve?
Yeah. It's every day, honestly. I think it improves, especially working with a mind like Coach Hudak. But no, like even when I played, the biggest thing I learned when I played here was to let guys hit it. It makes my job a lot easier if I let the batter hit it instead of trying to miss the barrel every time. Um, and I think I learned to just pitch aggressively while I was here, not be scared to work, if I'm behind in the count or even the count, not to throw one down the middle with a little bit of movement and see what happens, because the thing that Coach Hudak had pounded in my mind as a player was, as a pitcher, the game tells you is you let them hit the ball 7 out of 10 times, they'll be out, and that's something we preach to our guys, and even to our hitters, and being patient at the plate and looking for a good pitch to hit. I think just throughout the year, just different ways that maybe we did something at where I was at Shenango or New Kent for college, or even at Hickory for high school. You know, I had done different situations defensively my whole life the same way. You come down here and maybe there's some stuff that's different. And at first, I'd look at it and be like, well, that doesn't make sense. But then you kind of think about it, you see it play out, you're like, oh, that's why we do it. So I think that's the biggest part for me too, is just learning that. I've learned a lot about the pitching side of things, development, pitch calling, just a lot.
So it's an exciting time for our guys, as we move into the summer season. An exciting time for you. You get to work with a new group, at least from the academy. You have a couple returners, obviously, from this spring, and some familiar faces that you're, well versed with. But what excites you about this ongoing summer season?
I think seeing a lot of the returning guys, this is kind of a unique team that we have, and a lot of the guys that we have are returners. And I think a couple of academy guys kind of fill out the rest of the roster. I think we only have 2 new guys. Um, but I think the thing that excites me most is seeing how, all right, we spend a lot of the beginning of the year, because normally it's a lot of new guys going over, okay, this is how we, run our defense. This is how we pitch. This is how we hit. Just teach, again, like we talked about earlier, just teaching the game and how we do things. But I think the cool thing about this year is, I think you saw even at that first practice, we were just kind of able to jump right into things because everybody but 2 guys knew what they were doing. And those 2 guys just kind of picked up real quick what we were doing and kind of just hopped right into what we were doing. So I think that's the thing that excites me the most. And I think we've seen there's not that first kind of couple games where it's, almost kind of a crapshoot with like signs and different. There's always a bunch of errors with signs that drives you crazy and, little stuff. I think this year, everybody kind of knows what they're doing, or at least how we want things done. So we've just kind of been able to hop right into it. And, first 2 games, we played really clean baseball.
Yeah, I was going to ask how have you seen that on the field so far?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, 4 wins in 4 games speaks for itself, but how have you seen some of those little things kind of aid in grabbing some of those wins?
Yeah, it's like, just going down the simple things of like a lot of guys now coming in returning, like, all right, they know the situation we want to hit and run in or run and hit in. So they know how to execute that, almost all of them. All of them know how to execute a vault steal. Almost all of them know how to execute an extra fastball or an extra slider and all of that. They know, or at least they know what that means. So now I think we're just kind of seeing playing out this year. I think it's always a trend with the summer team. We just those guys get better and better and better and better and better. And I think this year we just kind of came out shooting out the gates hot and being, picking up almost right where we left off last year.
Absolutely. I guess in addition to that, when you talk about building off of last year, building off of what you already know, given where this team is 2 weeks into this summer season, what do you think this team is capable of as we go through the summer?
I think they're capable of winning a lot of baseball games. We already show with our offense we can put up a lot of runs. And our pitching staff may be a little bit shorthanded, but I think our pitching staff is still pretty good. I think we're versed with guys like Aiden Bisbano that can come out and, really essentially blow the ball by you as much as he wants, especially when he's pounding the zone. And then you got a guy like Willow Shields that's real crafty. And, Will may be a guy that can throw mid-70s, but it's a guy that he puts the ball where he wants it. He changes speeds on you real well, and he gets outs, They got guys, just in the middle there, like Ben. Ben's one of the new guys that he does a great job of just pounding the zone, mixing his pitches, tunneling his pitches well, and he gets ground balls. So I think just with a pitching staff versed like that, again, for the most part, knows what they're doing, knows how to run the pick plays. Having an offense that we know can swing the bat and, execute different types of plays in different situations. I think it's really coming together well. It's why we're winning ball games. I think, especially over the last 2 games, we talked about it after the game. We haven't played our cleanest baseball, but we did some of the little things and got the job done and got out of there with some wins, which is, essentially at the end of the day, what it's all about is winning the game. There's no such thing as a bad win.
Of course. As a pitching coach, you look behind you, the bullpen's thin, right? How reassuring is it to be able to look out on the mound and see capable arms that know what they're doing and are executing well?
It's very reassuring. And you know what? No matter how thin our bullpen is, we don't we only take our type of guys, no matter how thin we are. So I'm confident that we have our guys out there and our type of guys out there. So I have exactly who I want out there, no matter who it is. I mean, no matter how short staffed we may be, some days we're more short staffed than others. No matter how much it is, I'm very confident in the guys we put out there, whether it's, again, like I said, Aiden Bidbano, Will, Ben, myself, Angel, Tristan here in a little bit. I really don't care who it is. I got confidence in them when they're out there.
You snuck it in there just a second ago, so I got to ask you on this last week against Hendersonville. It was not one of your pitchers that was out on the mound; it was you.
Yep.
When you took the Kingsman Academy job to come back as a coach after playing for the summer team, after being a player coach for the summer team, did you ever think you were to step on the mound again in a game situation?
Uh no, not really. Um, I was I kind of kept my arm in shape, just tossing with guys throughout the year. I think most of that was just missing the game and just getting bored and playing catch and long tossing. But no, I didn't. I would be lying if I said in an actual game situation I thought I'd be pitching again. But it's a nice thing about being an independent is we don't have really too much rules on what we can and can't do. So, but no, I mean, when Coach told me, especially a couple of weeks ago, just how short staffed we were, just to be ready to pitch. I mean, I told him I'm always going to be ready to pitch, and I love it. I mean, kind of talking to Coach P after the game just a little bit. He asked me if I missed it. I said, yeah, like I don't. Some part of me doesn't miss and I think a lot of guys can relate to this. Don't miss like the soreness part of it, and kind of like just some of the physical aspects of it. But I do miss the competitive part of it. I miss going out there and going against the guy in the box and just trying to get guys out. So I went out there, and the biggest thing that I told Coach before the game is just want to get out of there with the lead. I want to get out of there with us not losing, and I ended up doing that after 2 1/3. So I was very happy doing that.
Yeah, how was that experience out there? Obviously, the adrenaline's pumping. I'm sure once you throw that first pitch, you're in the zone, but were you able to take a second to just, enjoy the moment a little bit?
Yeah, it was cool for me. Because some of those guys 2 years ago I pitched with and played with them. So I got to do that again. Some of those guys last year I'd only, done 2 innings in the DR with them, but I've coached them and they've seen me pitch and talked about wanting to play. Some of them were my academy guys, which is cool to always play with, especially Ritz. Ritz is a guy I spent a lot of time with. Obviously being one of my catchers, and both poured a lot of time into each other throughout this season. And I think it was cool just going out there and competing with him. He even shot a guy out in the first inning while I was pitching, which was cool. Got me pumped up. But yeah, it was really cool to go out there, with a mix of guys that I'd already played with and doing that again, and guys I had, kind of watched play and talked about playing with and got maybe an inning or two to play with, but also some academy guys that I had never really gotten to play with and gotten to see me play, kind of just going out there. And, I may not be in my prime anymore, Griff, but I can still go out there and throw strikes.
Absolutely. Hey, you're always in you're always in your prime in our hearts, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't feel like I'm in it. I'll tell you that much. I think you saw it living with me, just walking around here the 2 days afterwards. I was pretty sore. I actually feel good now, but
That's
I was
good.
pretty sore those first 2 days afterwards.
Of course. So we got about a month until this team goes to the Dominican Republic. Obviously, with the academy, it's a much longer season. We're
Yeah.
only 2 weeks in, and it seems like we're already on a tight schedule for how long we have left with these guys. What do you want to see in terms of growth over the next month?
Honestly, I want to see him. I just want to see him learn more about who Jesus was, and what he did for us and what he did on the cross for us. I think, it's cool to go out there and play baseball with a good group of guys and a talented group of guys. But I think it's even more cool what we do off the field, and just seeing those guys grow. And, like we always talk about all the time. We don't push any beliefs on anybody. We don't force anybody to believe anything. We just all we do is it's what I learned simply coming down here my first time, and I talk about it all the time. Just simply ask you to listen and keep an open mind. That's all it is. And ask you to show up. And I think with those guys, just kind of seeing them show up, and we have a good group of guys spiritually. On the field, we got a great group of guys, but I think we have an even better group spiritually. So it's just real cool. We just went to Elevation the other Sunday. Me and you go there pretty often and have a blast. But I think it was cool just seeing some of those guys go there for the first time in a while, or for two of them ever, and just experience that. I'm excited to see more of that, and really just that side of the growth. I love that's the baseball. Like I said, the baseball side's cool, but at the end of the day, screw the baseball side of it. The spiritual side and the personal growth is what it's all about off the field.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate your time, Oz. Looking forward to seeing the growth that comes not just from the team, but from you and the coaches and everybody involved with the project this summer.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for it. I can't wait.
Yeah, well, we'll have to have you on again sometime soon. But we've got a few weeks left, even though the
Yeah.
season's winding down quickly. We've got a few weeks left. We'll sneak it in.
Yeah, the thing is that's what I was thinking about the other day too, is like we're 2 weeks in and it feels like we're almost done with the season. That's the crazy part to me with these guys. Like the academy guys, we're there for 10 months, you kind of got to lock. These guys, it just flies right by.
Yeah, well, we got to savor every second.
I know.
Yeah, well, that'll do it for this week with the Kingsman Corner for Coach Joe Hudak and Coach Nick Osborne. I'm Griffin Leonard saying so long. Watch the kingsmanbaseball.org website for all official updates to the schedule for this upcoming week, and we look forward to seeing you again soon and talking to you even sooner. See ya.